Chapter 12. Patrick. Piper is a trooper the rest of the way through the obstacles. She struggles through many of them, but she never quits. However, when we reach the last obstacle, she stops. "There is no way I'll make it up that," she says, shaking her head. The last obstacle is called the happy ending, though for some it's anything but. It is a 30-foot warped wall that you have to run up, and then the other side slides down into a pool of water. The idea is that it cleans off most of the mud you've caked on throughout the run. Of course, this obstacle is the one that requires everyone to work together, as you can't run up the wall by yourself, so people have to form a human chain. "Just watch for a second. I'll climb up there and grab that guy, and then you can grab my hands and I'll help you climb up. I promise I won't let you fall." "I'm not worried about you letting go," she says, her eyes wide with fear. "I'm way more worried about someone above you letting go." "Once you grab onto me, you're just crawling up everybody else, so as long as you hang on, you won't fall." "I don't know." I place my arms on her shoulders. "This is the last obstacle, Piper. You've got this, and I've got you." My throat dries up as I realize what I've said, but thankfully she doesn't seem to catch it. "This may be the most illogical thing I've ever done, but I trust you." I nod and take off running. My shoes slip as I run up the wall, but I'm able to grab the hands of the man hanging down. I was hoping I'd be able to put a hand out for Piper, but she's just going to have to grab my feet. Twisting as much as I can, I holler for her. The fear is visible in her face, but she takes off running, and there is a look of sheer determination as she runs up the wall, and then it is replaced by surprise when she grabs a hold of my shoe. "Now you have to climb, Piper." She nods and bites her bottom lip, but slowly I feel her hands on my calves, and then my hips. Then her hands are on my shoulders, and my body shivers with the realization that her body is pressed fully against mine. I am in so much trouble. Then I feel her feet on my shoulders, and I turn my head enough to watch her continue climbing up the other men. Thankfully, they all look solid and able to hold her weight. Only when I see her get to the top do I begin to make the climb myself, and a few minutes later, I'm sitting beside her at the top. Together, we help pull up the guys who were making our line, and then we look down to the pool at the bottom. "You ready for this?" I ask Piper. She smiles at me. "Only because of you." I grab her hand, and together we slide down. She lets go seconds before we hit the water to hold her nose, and then the water is washing over us. It doesn't get all the mud off, but it comes close. We swim over to the other side and climb out. "Well, what do you think?" Piper looks at me and chews on her bottom lip. "It makes no sense to me, but it was enjoyable." I chuckle and shake my head at her. "Not everything has to make sense, Piper." "Yes, I'm beginning to see that." "Oh my gosh, you two are so muddy. Can I get a picture?" I look up to see Belle hurrying toward us along with 3 other women I don't recognize. "Belle, what are you doing here?" Piper asks, voicing the very question that was circling my thoughts. "Charlie told us you were doing this today, and we all came out to cheer you on. I mean, we didn't get to see much from where we were sitting, but at least we were close to the finish line so we could see you when you crossed. Now, scoot closer together so I can get a picture. I can't believe you did this, and I need photographic proof." Piper and I step closer together, but the camaraderie we were just experiencing now feels a little strained. Belle takes the picture and then grins at us. "You two make a pretty cute couple." I glance over at Piper, whose face is turning pink. I'm annoyed that Belle embarrassed her, but curious if that blush means she's feeling the same way I am. Hey, Piper, aren't you going to introduce us to your friend? This comes from the most athletic-looking woman of the group. She has her hair pulled back in a ponytail, and her shoulders are broad and muscular. From Piper's description, I assume this is Charlie, and Piper quickly affirms my guess. Oh, sorry. Patrick, this is Charlie, Hannah, and Katie. Girls, this is Patrick. So you're the one who convinced our bookworm Piper here to get down and dirty? The one I'm pretty sure Piper called Katie asks, eyebrows raised. I shrug and smile warmly at Piper. I just encouraged her to push her limits. Piper's the one who did all the hard work. I bet. Katie gives Piper a knowing look. Well, I'm super proud of you, girl, the woman I think is Hannah says, as she steps forward as if to hug Piper. She pauses as her eyes take in the mud, and she decides to pat a relatively clean part of her shoulder instead. Yeah, Charlie agrees. Who would have thought you'd turn out to be athletic? Piper chuckles. It was definitely a struggle at some points, but I'm glad I did it. Well, it was nice to meet you all, but I'd really like to wash the rest of the mud off me before it dries. Do you want to come, Piper? I look over at her, hoping she'll say yes. If you know of a way for me to get the rest of this mud off, then that is a definite yes. Are you guys okay with that? Of course, Belle says, waving her hand and flashing a conspiratorial wink. We just wanted to cheer you on. Go clean up and celebrate. We'll see you back home later. Sorry about them, Piper says as we head toward the wash stations. They mean well, but sometimes... She shrugs and lets the sentence trail off. I get it. You met some of my friends, remember? We reach the washing station and I pick up one of the hoses to begin washing my legs. I don't want the day to end, but I'm not sure how to extend it without it being a date. So, is there a celebration after this, or is the metal and the mud it? Piper asks, as she hoses off her own legs. Well, there's always a free beer in the tent and some music. Piper's nose wrinkles. I don't think I would like beer. Have you ever tried it? She shakes her head, but the disgusted expression does not leave her face. No, but it's always looked like urine to me. I don't think I could drink it. I can't help but laugh at the mental picture that fills my head. I get it. How about we grab some carbs instead? She looks up at me. Like a victory lunch, right? I nod. Absolutely. A well-earned victory lunch. After washing off the best we can, we head for my truck. It made more sense to drive in one vehicle than two, and I'd been afraid she wouldn't show up if left to arrive on her own, so I'd picked her up this morning. She hesitates at the passenger door. What is it? I know we washed off, but I'm still muddy. I'll ruin your seats. A laugh bursts out before I can contain it. I have a 5-year-old daughter, Piper. My seats were ruined long ago. Even though I try to keep the truck clean, Amelia has managed to spill just about everything in the truck at least once. Cheerios? On a daily basis. Milk? At least once a week. Ketchup? Practically every time we hit McDonald's. Piper still looks pained and as if she doesn't believe me, though. Are you sure? I'm positive, but if it makes you feel better, I have a couple of towels in the back seat. You can put one on your seat and one on the floorboard. My floorboards are those rubberized mats, so whatever she gets on there, I'll be able to wash off easily. But I'm hoping the towel option will ease her anxiety. You carry towels in your truck? Usually only paper towels, but I brought some real ones today just in case we needed them. Before she can say anything else, I grab them from the back and throw one on her seat. "Floorboard too?" I ask, but after looking at the floorboard, she shakes her head. "Just the seat will be fine." Though I don't really care about the seat, I throw the other towel on mine just for solidarity, and then we're off. We decide on a small cafe we spot on the way home. It's homey looking and doesn't seem to require a fancier dress. "I'll be right back," Piper says after we're seated. She heads for the bathroom and I peruse the menu. Everything looks good at this point. I always eat before an event like this, but it was long, and the protein bars and bananas they give you along the way and at the end are never satisfying. Not like a giant sandwich loaded with goodies, or a burger smothered in cheese with fries on the side. "Oh my gosh, I thought I washed all the mud off, but let me tell you, there is still more," Piper says as she slides into her seat. "Why do you do this again?" "Because it's fun." I set the menu down and look at her. "Tell me you didn't have fun." She shakes her head. "I can't believe I have to agree with you, but I did have fun, in some weird, twisted, sadistic way." I smile and chuckle. "Yep, welcome to the world of working out. Endorphins are crazy." "I'm beginning to think I'm crazy," she mutters under her breath as she picks up the menu. My smile falters. "Why would you say that?" "Because this isn't like me at all. I'm not athletic and muddy. I'm straight-laced and nerdy." "Why can't you be both?" She closes her mouth and simply stares at me for a second. "I guess I never thought of that. I've always been placed in this mold." "You can be whoever you want to be, Piper. If you want to be straight-laced and nerdy, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be adventurous and muddy sometimes, that's okay too. That guy—" "Ian," she says, interrupting me. "Yeah, Ian. He was a jerk, but—" "No," she interrupts me again. "Ian is here." "Ian is here?" Immediately, I'm looking around the room, trying to pick out the man who treated Piper so poorly. "No, don't look. He'll see you." As if fate is listening to her words, I see movement out of the corner of my eye. A moment later, a man with a mop of curly brown hair is standing next to our table. His patterned button-down shirt looks more like it belongs in the 70s, but his tan slacks are timeless. "Piper, is that you?" The man's eyebrows are high on his forehead. "Hello, Ian." "Why do you look like that?" It's unclear whether it's just confusion or condescension in the man's voice, but I don't like the way he's talking to her, so I jump in. "Piper just completed a Tough Mudder, and I think she looks great." His eyes shift to me. "And you are—" "Patrick Stepp. Piper and I work together." I hold out my hand and he shakes it, though he looks like he'd rather be doing anything else. Then he turns his attention back to Piper. "You did a Tough Mudder?" Piper nods. "I did. You said I was too boring. Patrick here has been teaching me how to try new things." "I believe the word I used was structured." "You're right. It was. Patrick is helping me be less structured." He looks back at me for a second before addressing Piper once more. "You'll try new things for him, but you wouldn't for me?" She blinks up at him. "You never asked." Piper says the words so matter-of-factly that I have to mash my lips together to keep from laughing out loud. "Besides, you found someone better suited to you," she continues. "Remember? You sent me a text telling me all about it." Ian at least has the decency to look embarrassed. Yeah, Shelley is great. In fact, I'm meeting up with her shortly. Well, it was nice to see you, and to meet you," he says to me, almost like an afterthought, and then he walks away. "Do you think I was too hard on him?" Piper whispers when he is out of earshot. I stare at her, incredulous. Are you kidding me? The man dumped you by text. You were definitely not too hard on him. She smiles, though it is soft and kind of sad, and I can tell that she doesn't fully believe me. But Ian doesn't come up in conversation again. We order, have a nice lunch, and then I take her back to her apartment. So, what's next? She asks as I pull into a space. I don't know yet. Is there anything you've wanted to do but have been too scared to try? Piper thinks for a minute and then shakes her head. Well, then I'll come up with something, and I'll let you know. How's that? Sounds good. Thank you for today. It was different, but fun. Yeah, it was. I flash her a smile and then wave as she gets out of the car and heads into her apartment. My smile doesn't fade the whole drive home. Well, you look a little like the cat who ate the canary, Chris says when I step into the living room. Albeit a dirty one. Amelia looks up from the table and scrunches her nose at me. Ew, Daddy, why are you so dirty? I chuckle and move closer to ruffle her hair. I'm dirty because Piper and I completed the Tough Mudder this morning. It's like a race. In the mud. But you always tell me not to play in the mud, Amelia says, clearly confused. I laugh out loud at that and then try to come up with an explanation. That's just because I don't want you to get your clothes all dirty. She tilts her head at me, and I can tell she is not letting this go. But your clothes are dirty. Yeah, but I'm a guy. My clothes aren't nearly as pretty as yours. But Piper is a girl, right? She has me there. I look to Chris for some help, but she just smiles and shakes her head. I sigh, realizing I may have just lost my ability to keep Amelia from getting dirty. Yes, Piper is a girl, but she wore old clothes that she didn't mind getting dirty. I can literally see the wheels turning on Amelia's face, and I know what she's going to say before the words come out of her mouth. So, if I wear old clothes, can I play in the mud too? I stifle a sigh. Yeah, I guess you can. Sometimes my daughter is too smart for her own good. And mine. Yes, I'm going to go change right now then. As Amelia makes a beeline for her room, Chris sets her focus on me again. You stepped right into that one. Yeah, I did. But you also never answered my question. I know playing in the mud is fun for you, but why are you really smiling? Did you ask Piper out? With a sigh, I shake my head. No, not yet, but I feel like I'm getting close. Only her ex was at the cafe we stopped at for lunch. Ew, what's he like? She asks, leaning forward. He wasn't the ogre I made him out to be in my mind, sadly. He seemed like a normal, slightly nerdy guy. But I don't know if her seeing him again was a good thing or not. Did anything happen? Chris asks, folding her arms across her chest. No drama, if that's what you're looking for. He seemed surprised to see her and wanted to know why she's doing new things with me and didn't with him. He didn't say it, but he looked like a man who knew he'd made a mistake. I'm afraid he's going to try and win her back. So what are you going to do to stop it? Chris asks. I don't know. What if it's still too early to ask her out? What if it's not? Aren't you the one who's always saying you never know unless you try? Yeah, but this is different, because if I'm wrong, it might screw up any chance that I have with her. Chris opens her mouth to say more, but before she can, Amelia bounds toward us in an old t-shirt and leggings. I'm ready to go play in the mud, Daddy. I had been looking forward to a shower, but I suppose waiting a little longer isn't that big of a deal. We'll talk later, Chris says as she grabs her purse and keys. But think about what I said. You don't want to wait so long you miss your chance. Again. I sigh. If only I knew what the perfect timing was.